so you can see my eyes this way? This is your trick?
No, because if it's like this, it's like that. Maybe that way too. All right, thanks
Okay.
everyone for jumping on. Kick it off here first, Ben. Back from the break. How's the energy been at training as the team prepares to attack the second half of the season here?
Yeah, I think that's about right. We got a lot of work to do. We're in a position that we don't want to be in, and that's on the wrong side of the line, and there's a bunch of reasons for why we're at that situation, but that's in the past, and where we're at now is a team still kind of figuring some things out and who we are, even at a stage in the season where we should have, I think, a better idea of what we have. But that's just the nature of how this season has gone with injuries coming back and some new players. We have a very deep team in this moment, and our job as a staff right now is to find the best group and get them clicking. And it's an our excitement level for this group and where we're going hasn't changed. We feel like we're getting better as the season goes. It's been a slow process, but if that process continues, I think we have a chance at this thing. And guys are together, excited about the second half of the season. Good couple weeks of training. It'd be nice to get back to real games because that's ultimately where we learn more about ourselves. But we've had a couple weeks of training to start to work on relationships and get back to some of the principles, in particular a bunch of the new guys returning or some of the new guys that have been around in May where we didn't have a lot of sessions. So it's been overall pretty good. But the whistle will blow, and we got to be at our best.
Thanks for that. Start with Victor.
Victor, what's up, buddy?
To follow up on that, what do you do with the off week since you're kind of limited in what you can do? Do you disconnect a little bit? Do you still think about the prior result? How did you use that off week?
I got out of town. If you're asking like what I did personally, yeah, I got out of town. My therapy is taking a road trip. Texas is a really neat state, and checking out went to Arkansas. Saw my son play in Nashville with the MLS Next. Saw some family, New Orleans. Did a big loop, and within that, you never disconnect though during the season. It's very, very difficult. So you got half a brain on that, and you got the other half constantly thinking about what we need to do here to correct some things and get this team in the right direction. And right directions, I think we have been in the right direction from the beginning, but we got to speed this up if we're going to reach our goal, and that's getting in the postseason and be at our best towards the end.
Obviously, during the break, a bit of a developing story with Nicolas Toledo. I don't know how much you kept up with it. Basically, reports out of Uruguay saying that the vice president of the club speaking, there's an agreement there. He was interviewed at the airport, talking about all he has to do is come back and get his release, and it's his desire to go back to his boyhood club. What can you share with us about the status of Nico there?
Just that this isn't a surprise on our end. When Nico came here, those were part of the discussions, and Nico's a legend. Nico's a guy we want to finish his career however he wants to finish it, and we'll support him in any way he feels that that's the right decision. His family's obviously back there. Again, these discussions with Nico have started before he even hit the ground here. So this isn't a surprise. It's also not done. There's no pen to paper. And Nico's, again, the communication with Nico has been wonderful, and we also trust him, and my relationship is strong with him while he's here until that stuff is signed and sealed, delivered. Nico's here to play and help this team, and he doesn't know any other way. He's very loyal to his teammates in this club, and if he's called upon, he's going to give everything for this club until he takes his flight down south, which those rumors they're not crazy. At some point, he's going to take that flight.
But as far as this game, you count him on
100%. 100%. Yeah.
And do you feel you've gotten the most out of him as a player?
I think he's had good moments. you know, and probably not. Probably not. I don't know if I fully trusted him in some moments where maybe I should have. But, you know, again, we've got a deep team, and we've got a lot of players with his profile in this spot. So he's helped us. He's certainly helped us. He's given us goals, assists. And, you know, I've used him in certain scenarios, and I've kind of pigeonholed him in certain scenarios. And at times maybe I could have trusted him, but that's always the case. That's always the case with players that aren't playing. The what if, the unknown, I don't know. You can always speculate.
Syachenko was out there again.
Mm-hmm.
Status on him?
Well, he's a guy we've, not to understate it, we've needed him from the get-go. And we haven't had him all year. Even when he was out there, he wasn't 100%. So he's just been fighting it, whether he's injured or not fit. And we feel like he's almost there. And it's important for us to make sure the plan is right to get him where he's on the field more times than not, playing at his best. Because we're better when he's on there from a defensive standpoint and leadership. You know, lost our 2 center backs essentially going into this season, and that's been difficult kind of carousel as the season's gone to find that perfect relationship, and relying on some guys that are young as well, and young center backs. They play some good games, and they also take lessons, and lessons are costly in the center back position. So he's a guy that will help not only by him being on the field, but also hopefully the players around him. But it's going to take some time too. He's still not there.
Some of the most important guys under your tenure, Bassi, Dorsey, Ponce, I'll throw Linger in there to name a few. How do you evaluate those guys? Do you feel you're getting as much out of them as you would like?
I'm not going to go individually whether and give them a report card, but I think overall we need more from everybody. And if you're doubting me, if that's what you're coming at, yeah, sure. I need to do more, and so does every player on this team.
But I mean, as far
I'm not going to go through individually
Yeah.
and grade the players. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
So what's your specific, what other question do you have on that?
No, just I guess.
Am I not doing a good job to get the most out of players? Sure. Yeah, that's.
Okay.
Was that the question?
No, just what your evaluation is of how they've been performing. What do you think maybe is part of?
I don't think anybody's has had a great season.
Right.
So whether they've been under my tenure or they've been new, again, I look around the group. I think everybody, including myself, has to be better, right? But some of that is a collective. You know, some of that's, the individual, but some of that is you have to be good individually because around you we're really well oiled and we're in sync and there's relationships being built. And it's been choppy. Every lineup's different. So that halts some of that process and new guys in transitioning. So these aren't excuses. This is just reality. Been through this enough that halts momentum. And that's why we've probably slow cooked, and hopefully we get a group on here. We stay healthy. We have the right competition now, and we can get some games where these guys can grow and some training sessions, and we can just keep on growing. If that's the case, can we sneak into playoffs? I certainly think so. And if we do that, we're going to be in pretty good form. I can trust you that. If we do get in the playoffs, we're going to be on an upwards trajectory, and I've seen that be a good recipe in this league.
Last one for me. What have you made of McGlynn with the national team, and are you a bit concerned you might lose him in the summer?
I'm concerned. I always root for my players. The second they get here, I fall in love with them all. For better or worse. And so right when he's playing, I got my USA hat on and let's go Jack, let's go team. And within that comes a risk when a player goes to the national team, especially in the Gold Cup where I think the level at times, early rounds where they're getting a lot of minutes, and you're maybe playing lesser opponents, a guy like Jack can really show well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do in this next round, and how he can impact the games in the quarters, semis, and hopefully they get to the finals. I think he's been great for us. It's been fun to work with him, and we designed this for him to be more of a Hector replacement, but we made an adjustment and we put him up high, a little bit higher towards goal to get more goals and assists. I think that was a good adjustment for him, for us, and I think the national team took note of that and is now playing him in a very similar position, and he's having success there. So he's still a young guy, and we're figuring out kind of where he is at and which system and what position. But as far as quality, the goal, the little chip pass for the goal, for the assist, he's a playmaker, and his left foot it's a magic wand. And to have a young American guy with that profile, it's a really interesting profile. It's a rare one, and I'm a big fan.
He's gotten rumors of offers and all
Yeah.
that stuff, and I imagine that's normal, but I imagine that's also a possibility.
It's a possibility, I'm sure. I try to block that out and deal with what I have in the moment. And Jack right now will be back at some point, and we'll still plan on that. But all of this in this league now, and in particular us, is about how we have what's our succession plan, and are we clear on what when he goes, and are we prepared to have the option behind him so we can continue to move forward. And I think we've thought a lot about that and how our plan, and maybe we weren't at our best in the off season with that, but I think I think we'll be prepared for that if it happens.
I'll go to Zoom. Dustin, go ahead.
Hey, Ben.
Dustin?
Hey, I know you talked to the last game about finding the right 11. You didn't know who the right 11 was. And now that you guys have competition, you have depth on this roster, do you feel like you're getting close to finding that, or is it going to take games of these guys getting into games and playing?
I think some of it's going to take games, but we're training and putting them in situations to still evaluate, and that's going to always be the case. But competition is nice. It's nice to have 17, 18 guys that you could play and interchange, but also it's a headache. Sometimes it's nice to have starting 11 that every weekend is going to be there and is playing at a really high level, and who your subs are. But that's not us right now. So the guys have done a good job of supporting each other and competing. And again, over the next few weeks, month, I think we'll have a better idea. But the good news is I think anybody we put on the field, we have a good chance, and we have a good team. So it just and then if you're always changing, you're not building relationships and rhythm. So there's that challenge. Hopefully we'll get it right at some point.
Thanks, man. Turn it over to the other guys. Safe travels.
Thanks.
Sam, go ahead.
Hi, Ben.
Sam, what's up, buddy?
Good day.
Good day to you.
Cool. It's been a great summer of soccer, from the Club World Cup to the Gold Cup, and the MLS is still on. I mean, in this saturation of soccer activities, how have you been able to refocus the team mentality, looking at the tough results you guys have had in recent weeks?
I think just on the results, we've had 2 bad results, and we had a very good May, right? So we're certainly looking to rebound from the 2 results, but it's not doom and gloom. We've gotten over the last 8, 9 games, it's been pretty good. And again, I feel like we're on a upwards trajectory, but certainly a response is needed here in the next 2 games. As far as the saturation of games and whether that takes away from our focus, other than Jack being gone, it really doesn't affect us, other than we get to turn on the tube and watch kind of a fun array of games that are different and whether it's PSG versus a team from the Middle East, or it's you turn the channel and you're seeing the Gold Cup games where we're very familiar with it. So it's just, it's not taken away from anything here. We understand our task, and our focus here is right now on Minnesota.
Yeah, this is the second half of the season, and midway point is probably, I can be corrected, where teams assess, what they've done in the first half of the season. Any specialized training for the defense to maintain and control discipline? When you look at the two few bad results you had, the team has been great on the road, and how do you balance road form and home form?
It's a good question, and we've talked a lot about it. At home at times we're in control of the game, and we're playing in the right way. We're creating chances. At times we haven't scored that 3-goal game and that 4-goal game to put teams out of their misery. And, we leave ourselves exposed. And how we deal with that exposure, we ask a lot of our guys. And at times maybe too much. And, the comfort we feel on the ball has to go away. We have to have real urgency and real focus, and to being able to deal with transition moments. And that's really what has cost us. Some box defending as well, just little plays in the box. A lot of this stuff, when we rewind, it's preventable, and it's teachable, and we it's not the structure. We still believe in what we're doing here. I think we just have to fine-tune some of that stuff, and how we look as we're attacking. And then there's just individual defending and making plays in and around our box that has not been good enough either. So if we fix some of that stuff, I think we give ourselves a chance.
All right, I wish you all the best at the weekend.
Jesus,
Thank
go
you.
ahead. Jesus, go ahead.
Hey Ben,
Jesus?
you spoke about seeing some of the games during this summer of soccer. I wonder if you watched anything to these games, or the big Club World Cup, Gold Cup, and you've been able to get something that maybe you can implement with this team now. Just for fun and watching.
I know who I am as a coach, and I know what we're doing here. We're pretty well versed. I'm not gonna watch Palmeiras last night and say, yeah. You know what I would have liked from Palmeiras? The guy Paulinho that came in. Yeah, if you could send him our way, that would make probably my job a little easier. Or maybe the guy that's going to Chelsea for 20-something million.
Right.
Yeah.
Getting back to the team, the last couple of games, Franco Escobar has been a substitute, and Felipe has been playing more. Is that more so because of the play style, more so you want to see what Felipe can do, or
it's not a playing style. Well, first of all, we've been on rotation, right? May itself was on full rotation. Yes, this last game, I thought it was more of a matchup thing that maybe Franco could come off the bench. But Franco's a big part of this, and he was in May, and it was more just, he's playing him Wednesday, Saturday all the time. Historically, sometimes his body doesn't hold up, and you're trying to protect him from the injuries, and that was the case all through May. This last game, you have a case, and Felipe's given us a lot on offensive set piece. It's certainly a good 1v1 defender, but Franco offers so many other things that maybe Felipe doesn't have. I think he's a better passer, and I think he gets forward more often. So they're a little different in who they are as players, and sometimes it's whether it's changing minutes and making sure everybody is playing at 100%, and some of it's tactical. But Franco's still a big part of this team, and he also has a pulse, and he's a winner.
Your team took obviously with the rest of the MLS. How can this break help you guys for the second half of the MLS season? Is it just kind of take a break from it, like?
No, I don't think we need a break. We had a bye week. The break is stupid. This is the union and the players that they put a 5-day break. We just had a bye week. The guys already had a 2-week break, and so again, I don't know. What does it do? I don't know. We're all going to find out. This is the first time we've had a 5-day break in the middle with 2 games on the back. So this is new for all of us. And especially then there's a game in before that, and there's a 2-week break on a bye week. It's like, what are we doing here? This is summer soccer. Like, I don't know. I don't really like time off, as you could tell, but it's what it is. And I think we thought we've had a good plan and how we go about it and making sure everybody's fit. We did use a lot of training sessions to really push these guys, and hopefully we worked on enough to keep growing.
Thank you so much, man.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. Can I follow up on one? Just, in all seriousness, why not a guy like Paulinho? Like, if that's a guy you say, I want to have this player on my team.
Yeah.
You text
I don't have 20 million. I don't have to. No, these are the prices, right? Nobody in the league has spent that, right?
But do you use some of these games to kind of, hey, why not? Let's just throw a dart.
Well, he's also on Palmeiras, and his salary, and there's guys that they're untouchables.
Yeah.
This is fantasy world for MLS. These guys, he may end up going to PSG. We live in a certain lane, and that lane can change, and it's changed as we go here. I think over the years we've bumped up to certain areas, but there's some that are. And they aren't coming to the MLS. So, and some are not free, and some are you have to buy, and it's a very complex kind of ecosystem that Asher and Pat and scouts have to navigate, because not everybody wants to also come to Houston, and we can't afford them, or there's a lot of variables where they just get crossed off. But yeah, we're always watching soccer, and we don't watch for enjoyment. I don't. I watch the tactics. I watch the players, and it's work. When at least when I watch soccer, it's work. I'm looking for tactics, and I'm looking for players. But yeah. Who else?
Anything else? So we're good on Zoom. Good. All right. Thanks, everyone.